Welcome to Silver Lining Podcast Live. Sorry we're starting just a couple minutes later than the published time because Adam apparently went overtime in his last pickleball match. He's here with us. He is here with us. And we have, a lot to talk about, of course, with the guilty verdict. There are a lot of you here already. Welcome. We're glad you're here joining us. But first, I think a lot of us are anxious to hear before the big news. Let's hear about how your massage went, Adam.
Oh, is that what we're starting with that?
You're leading with the massage.
Yeah. So last Saturday I went to get a massage. It was amazing. Thank everybody who donated to this cause for some reason. But yeah, I felt like $1 million afterwards. I text Rex and said thanks, and it just felt really, really good. Even though she stretched me into a pretzel, which is probably what I needed, because then when I walked out of there, I was loose enough to actually walk and not, hurt. So the massage was amazing. I think, when people talk about getting a massage and that it's good for your body and all that, I usually go to the hot tub. I have my leg compressions. I have cold plunge. I do all these other things and avoid massage. But the massage and the stretching did wonders for my body. So maybe it's made me sleepy. I don't know. I've been sleepy lately, so I don't know if that's the after effect. But it was amazing.
Well, it could be the relief from a lot of stress before the massage. We can get in if you're just tuning in, if you're one of the 396 are with us right now and are just tuning in. We're talking massages because y'all provided Adam with a well-deserved, well-needed massage with your donations from the last live we did. So thank you for that. It was very well. Very needed and much appreciated. And right so far, Adam, your sound, except you're frozen now. Hope that's not an indicator for the day, but your sound has been good so far. So we'll hope to get you back here soon. Something good about his sound. He freezes up. Welcome to all of you. We need to get into it. Yes, we're very pleased with the guilty verdict. We are also very pleased, as a couple of you have mentioned already, that Zach did not have to testify. It looks like you're back, Adam. You were frozen there for a second.
Oh yeah, sorry, that was me. That was my Wi-Fi was lagging apparently.
Okay, but you're back now, and I was just saying how glad we were that Zach did not have to testify.
Yeah, that was a blessing.
And a lot of people,
nobody did. Summer, my mom or dad, nobody had to testify. So all that was good.
We can thank that in part to Lori's incompetence as an attorney. And I liked when some of the jurors were interviewed afterwards yesterday, and they were asked if Lori did herself a favor by being her own attorney. They said no, she did not.
Right.
So we were,
but she doesn't know the difference. She doesn't know, what she's doing anyways, whether she has an attorney or not have an attorney.
Right. Because she didn't let the attorneys do their attorney things her last trial anyway. So
yeah. And I know they were trying to do all kinds of stuff and she was like, no. So.
I just saw a starred comment go by from M. Morgan that said, I'm going to start with this one just because I happened to see it. I heard on Surviving the Survivor. Adam, for those of you that don't know, for the announcement, we didn't know the timing was going to be this, but when they announced the verdict, Adam was on as a guest on Surviving the Survivor. We suggest you check that out. If you've never seen that podcast, excellent team there. And Adam was on there, but the comment you see on the screen here, I heard on STS that Adam doesn't only date Mormon women. So you started a new rabbit hole for anyone that wants to.
That's a whole other. Well, Joel is always funny. He's always, apparently he's trying to set me up. I don't know why he feels like he needs to set me up, but he's like, it's my mission to find you a girl. And so I don't know why he does that, but I don't. Maybe it's part of his shtick or whatever he does on his podcast.
Well, Lisa's tried too, and you don't have one yet, so at least not from Lisa. So
I don't think women really want this baggage, to be honest with you. They may say they want to go on a date with me, but really, when you think about the baggage that I have, I don't think people really want that.
Never know. You never know. Let's start with this early on, and I'm not sure how to pronounce things. I like to get them right, but I'm not sure. Chael Ministries with a $10 donation right away. Thank you.
Awesome.
In our Christian scriptures, there's warning about how to detect a false prophet. The major sign is when prophecy doesn't actually come to pass. Is there such a warning in the Mormon scriptures? Definitely. There's a lot about false prophets in the Mormon scriptures. And let's just, I think we can all agree, even if you aren't religious, in the realm of false prophets, Chad and Lori more than prove themselves as false prophets. Just every time they open their mouth, I think they prove themselves. There's not much truth that comes out of those mouths, whether there is,
yeah, that's true. I mean, every time they mention, oh, this is going to happen, and when it doesn't happen, there's always a next thing that why it didn't happen, and then they said this is going to happen, and then it doesn't happen, and then there's a reason why or whatever. So, yeah, the whole false prophet thing is, and it's not just Chad and Lori, but there's other people who have been false prophets throughout time. there's always David Koresh. There's all kinds of people that claim to be prophets or Jesus or whoever. There's one guy on TikTok that has predicted all kinds of things, including Trump getting shot. And he's predicting that XRP is going to hit 10,000 in October. So if he does, you probably will never see me again.
Because you're following that particular false prophet.
No, I had XRP crypto way before I even heard about this.
Oh, okay. Well, good luck with that.
We'll see what happens.
Lisa W. says, Rex, it's good to see you being interviewed by Nate outside the courthouse. We love Nate. He's kind of the face of the army of journalists that are doing such a great job. When I say journalists, I'm including podcasters and anyone in the media that has covered this story. We're so grateful for them, and none more than Nate, in fact. What is it like for you to see Lori again in person? That's a little surreal. To see her, we didn't really connect, lock eyes, acknowledge each other this time like we did last time. But Adam, let's ask you the same question. Even more surreal for you.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen Lori since really. I think the last time I saw her was in the kitchen. So looking at her in court was a little just odd. Everything about it was odd. And then and I didn't know where to look. I didn't know, do I look at the jury? Do I not look at the jury? Do I just look at the prosecution? Or then when Lori stepped in, do I look at her? Do I not look at her? Give her any, satisfaction that I'm looking at her. So, and then I remember one time when I did look at her, she looked away immediately when I started staring at her. So that was a little weird. The whole thing was just I don't know. Yeah, I don't even know how to explain it, but it was bizarre.
I have in the past heard Adam and Lori exchange snarky comments from time to time. And Adam, how tempted were you?
I got a phone call from my friend Lance today. He said he's a general manager in Boise, Idaho, and
he spent a lot of time in your house.
Yeah, and so Lance Lance has spent a ton of time at my house, knows Lori, all that. He called me this morning. I went to go get a haircut. And he called me, we were talking, and he said, he goes, people at work are talking about the case and about Lori. And he goes, I know you. He goes, when Lori asked you a question about, did you see with your two eyes or hear with your ears me and Alex conspiring to kill? Lance lit up and just went on a rant thinking that this is what I was going to say. And he goes, the prosecution probably told you do not do that, which, yeah, they said to pretty much stay to yes and no and whatever else. But the rant that he said was exactly what I was thinking about saying. And
share that with us.
I can't remember everything that he said, but it was about, telling her about her situation and that I wasn't invited to these private meetings that you had about killing him. Like for some reason you guys left me off the list to invite me. Just all snarky, the whole thing. And I was laughing because I was like, yeah, there's some, if there was no court and we're just sitting there talking, then I could, that would be, people say, would you ever talk to Lori again? If I could get in a room with her and talk to her, I would, just so I can get all the things I want to say to her.
Interesting. I'm going to at least ask another question here. I'm going to skip it just because it's about me. And I'll tell you real quick. What'd you do for a living? It caused you to have 59 different addresses.
Yeah, Rex. Enough me being weird. What about you?
Yeah. It wasn't a living. I was in the Air Force. My dad was in the Air Force. That accounts for a few of them. But when I was single for 4 years, I lived in 9 different places. Some of those were to get closer to a long distance relationship to see if it would work out. One of them was to help Lori out with a lease. She is living right there in Queen Creek, Adam. And she needed to move, but she had a lease. And so I moved in for a couple months just to take the last 2 months of the lease so she could get on to where she was going. So, but thanks, Lisa, for asking. I just don't want to spend too much time on me because there's so much interest, especially when we have a star witness here. And Adam,
no, I like talking about your 59 addresses. Let's start with number 1 and go all the way to 59 and find out exactly why did you move so much, Rex? What happened in your childhood to make you want to move so much?
Like Steve Martin in the movie The Jerk, I was born a poor black child in the South.
Yes.
And
that's where it starts.
Yeah, that's where it starts.
Oh my God.
Let's move on to Adam. Let's get. I'll save that. See if someone brings it up. If not, I'll bring it up a little bit later. Jermaine, Adam, please tell Zach there are many people thinking about him.
I will, and I do, and I screenshot something that somebody said on Kimberly's Facebook page, the fan page, and I sent it to him, and he was like, "That was super sweet, super nice." So he does get to see some of the stuff.
Very nice. So happy for the verdict yesterday. This is from Lori, native AZ girl. I do have a question. Why in the documentary Janice never mentions Stacy as one of her children? I happen to know this. I can't remember the source, but that was edited out. That wasn't Janice's doing when they listed her children. But she said, she's asking you, sorry to jump in there, Adam, but you have she knows you have contact with your mom. Yeah, Adam and Janice are working very diligently, and I'll say they're working because it's tough to have a relationship, and to do what they can with their relationship. Adam, do you want to say any more about that?
Yeah. Me and my mom are trying to obviously work out some of the things and doubts that I have and had, some of the things that, her and Summer did. And I'm just working all that out. I've forgiven her and we're trying to move forward. And so, but yeah, she definitely mentioned that and it got edited out. So that's the problem about TV sometimes is that things get edited out and makes somebody look like they said this or didn't say this or whatever. So hopefully that clears that up. I've heard a lot of people talk about that.
True that. So from Cindy H, Adam, you made a difference when you testified. Sure glad the jury saw right through her. My prayers are with you. Justice for Charles finally served as much as it can be in this life. But Adam, a lot of people are agreeing with Cindy that you made a difference. How do you feel? Do you feel like your testimony had an impact on the jury?
Yeah, people have been saying that. I just don't know enough about courts and witnesses and prosecute. I just don't know enough about cases and how things work. But I guess since I was Lori's brother and I was testifying against her, I guess that alone was something. And maybe some of the things that I said, I've been consistent with everything because, it's just the truth. So, yeah, a lot of people said that my testimony helped convict her when, I'm sure all the testimonies and everything that I thought the prosecution put together exactly what happened. And so, the jury followed that. I think it was a pretty easy decision for them.
Mm-hmm. And I'll say too that, there are people that second guess and said, well, why didn't they show the body cam of Charles, begging for help from the police, etc. I don't know the reason for that, but what I wanted to say, having sat with Adam, with the prosecutor on the morning he testified, I am so impressed with the strategy that the prosecutor had and how she executed that strategy. And anything that didn't fit in there, why put it on? I mean, yes, you can go for sympathy, but that's not I'm sure from her perspective, I shouldn't be speaking for her, but it's for some reason that didn't fit in her strategy. Maybe it's hearsay. I don't know. But I'm certainly not going to fault anything the prosecution did. I thought she did a masterful job. What was your impression after talking to her, Adam, that last time?
Yeah, I thought she did a great job piecing everything together, making sure that the different reasons, not just money. There's also weird religious stuff involved in it. All the different aspects of Lori having an affair with Chad. Like there's a lot to it, and she made sure that the jury knew there was more than just money. And so that was good that she hit all those points.
Lisa W's back. Lisa W was here early, and I guess got all of her questions down early, and we appreciate people waited. That waited here for us, 1,400 with us. Thank you all for being here. We just appreciate the love and support from all of you and the curiosity there. Lori submitted a list of witnesses which never got called. And another positive thing I want to say about the judge is he could have been much more harsh with Lori representing herself. For example, the list of witnesses was turned in late. He could have just said, nope, sorry, you turned it in late. But he didn't close the door on it. He gave her really until Monday morning. That's why I was so excited to be sitting there in the courtroom with my text message ready to Adam, waiting for Lori to say the defense rests. Boom, I hit that text to Adam saying Zach is officially off the hook.
Yeah. Until
then, she may have made a case for bringing in witnesses. I don't know if he would have allowed it, but back to Lisa's question, Adam, I'll let you answer one here, and I've been talking way too much. At what point in the proceedings do you each think that she decided to not present a defense?
Well, she doesn't really have a defense. Like, what would she present? The witnesses that she would have would be Tylee, JJ, and Alex. They were the only ones at the house when all this happened. They're all dead. Mm-hmm. So what defense does she actually have? Like what witnesses, if she called Zach, what could he say? If she called Summer or my mom, what could they say? Nobody was there. So there's really she doesn't have a defense. That's why she didn't even put on a defense. There's nothing to defend.
And that was true of her trial in Idaho, because the attorneys got up and said, we don't think the prosecutors have proven their case, so we have no defense, we'll rest. Now, obviously, they knew that they were overwhelmed with proving their case, but she's got nothing. She's got nothing for a defense. I heard a commentator say the best defense she could have mounted was just to stick with, hey, my brother Alex is protective of me. He saw the way Charles was treating me, didn't like it, took matters into his own hands. I didn't know anything was going to happen, but when he saw what was happening in the house, he saw the opportunity to defend me, and just shut up and let it be, let that be her defense. But that didn't, it wouldn't have worked with the great way the prosecution presented it, but that was a chance she had. Darlene Butler, I'm so glad Zach did not have to testify. Sorry, you've already answered this one. Give him love and prayers, Adam.
Yes, I will.
So Darlene asks, Adam, were you going to be called to testify for the aggravating circumstances phase?
No, I doubt it. I mean, I don't even know what that was. Good thing Lori didn't go along with it or whatever. I mean, it's over. As soon as, they came back guilty, it's just over.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not sure what would I say different?
Yeah, I don't know how that works. I've never seen it in action, never had an explanation. Maybe some of our optimists can tell us if, what Adam might have been called on to do with that. Yeah. So Adam, when the prosecution presented the text messages between Summer and Lori that showed Summer was telling Lori your plans and movements when you were in town, how did you feel about Summer doing that?
Yeah, not the best. At the time, Summer said that she was trying to protect JJ, thinking that Charles was coming to take JJ away from Lori. This is what I understand. And so she thinks that JJ was better off with Summer at the time than Charles. So she was on Lori's team because of that's what was presented to her from Lori. So that's what I got. That's what I know. Is it hard? Yes. It's hard. It's hard to know that. Literally, just think about this. If Summer was telling them, not knowing that Alex and Lori were going to kill me, and if Alex and Lori actually got a hold of me and killed me and Zach, that Summer would have been part of that situation to have them find me and kill me, and then she would have to live with that too. So Summer's already living with a bunch of mistakes and a bunch of regrets, and it's got to be very difficult to be her, knowing what she knows now and knowing what she did then. So yeah, I'm sure it's super hard on her realizing what she did.
Yeah, tough burden to bear. Warren Kroom, this month is Autism Awareness Month. I was not aware of that. I want to thank Adam and Rex for advocating for JJ, Tyler, Tammy, and Charles for giving them their voice back. And I wish we could have made more of a deal out of Autism Awareness Month.
We did last year. We donated to an autism thing last year. It was about a year when we did it on the podcast with Lindsay, I think.
We did. I just didn't keep track of Autism Awareness Month because Lindsay isn't talking to us every day. But
come on, Lindsay, it's all your fault.
I have a special place for autism, and just in my life, just realizing how many autistic people have contributed so much in people's lives. I mean, there's some genius in autistic people. And when it comes out, it is just miraculous to behold. I know I have some family members that are on the spectrum, is what you say, with autism. And I just can't wait for any time they contribute anything. I just try to be aware and It's just miraculous. So I think JJ would have just been a freaking miracle at this point had he not been taken so early. He'd be a miracle. He was progressing so incredibly well.
Yes.
Let's see. Upgrass, how does the family feel about Summer and Melanie's involvement with Charles and Brandon's shootings? Have they come clean to the family? Have they apologized to the Vallow family?
Who's this?
Summer and Melanie's involvement with Charles and Brandon's shootings from Upgrass.
Well, Summer has talked about her situation, why she did what she did with Lori when I was in town. She told me everything. Melanie, I haven't heard from. I have no idea what Melanie's involvement was with Brandon's shooting. I don't know if it will ever tell anybody, or if she does, will she get in trouble for that? There's a lot of factors with that. I just don't know how far Melanie went with Lori and Chad. I feel like she went pretty far because, she moved there. She was calling Chad dad. Like that's pretty much saying that she got involved with their situation. I'm not sure exactly what she knew about everything, but once they found the kids dead and all hell broke loose, then I think Melanie just distance herself from all that, which makes sense that she would do that. But yeah, I don't know what's gonna come about with Brandon's trial, or if we're ever gonna find out what Melanie knew or what she did or all that. I don't know what's gonna happen.
And
Melanie hasn't talked to me about it at all.
Yeah, and we've said this before, but let's reiterate it, because I'm sure we'll be asked this a lot going into Brandon's trial. We don't know Melanie's involvement. We have the same questions everyone else has. And people asked before, well, why don't you just ask Melanie? You have access to her, and we do. And I've talked to Melanie a couple of times, but she's not us anything that she hasn't said publicly about it. That's not part of the relationship. Okay, so we'll wait and see what comes out, and if she's called on to speak in whatever context, I'll be looking forward to hearing it, and try to keep my mind open. But we don't have any insight there, any family insight about that. So we aren't trying to hide something. We just do not know, and so
there's a lot of people in our family that just don't talk to each other anymore, to be honest with you.
Yeah. And with Melanie, with me, and I'm sure with Adam, it's not out of negative, out of negativity. When I see her, I get to talk to her. But as you can imagine, things are pretty strained around that particular topic. And so it's just an very awkward family dynamic. On to a lighter message from Michelle Gallegos. I want to learn pickleball. Where do I start? Any recommendations?
Where do you live, Michelle? Let's start there. Is there pickleball where you live?
Okay, so let's say yes.
Recommendations. I would start with YouTube, watch some pickleball matches, see what it looks like, see if it's something that you want to do. And then I would go to a place where they play pickleball and watch, and then ask somebody or get a lesson, and probably find someone to give you a lesson to teach you how to play if you really want to get into it.
There you go. Advice from someone that knows, and right on the heels of that, Classy and Sassy, who gets on because not so much of her comment, Adam, I need pickleball lessons, but what a great name, Classy and Sassy. So
yes, I do like that.
So that message was for you too, Classy and Sassy.
Yeah, pickleball is just a fun sport. It's fun for everybody.
It really is. It really is. Frida Soar, congratulations on guilty verdict for Charles. How are both of you doing after the verdict? Adam, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I mean, I knew the verdict was going to come back guilty. There's no other explanation for it, so I wasn't even worried about it.
All right. And I was very surprised the last week being in court and when I was there Monday. I've been just on what Kay and I texted back and forth a couple times and talked about the emotional roller coaster. And I have been on that. It has affected me emotionally more than I suspected. It kind of surprisingly so. So I think I'm doing okay. But I'll share this, not to share too much of myself, but I had never fainted in my life until Monday.
What?
I fainted in court. No one knows this except my daughters and Lisa and I. I fainted in court. Fortunately, I didn't drop over or anything. But I've never fainted before. It was so strange. And
so how did you faint? Like what? Were you sitting down or were you actually standing
there? It was
up?
during the jury instructions, and they're reading the instructions, not particularly interesting time. And I got this weird feeling, and I sing next to Christy, my daughter. I said, "Hey, let me hit your thermos there." She had a drink, and apparently I just kind of slumped into her, and it just freaked her out. Of course, children and I know just about everyone can relate to this. You don't want to face the mortality of your parents or think they're sick because you have the same DNA and all that stuff. And I was probably out 3 or 4 seconds. She's shoving me or tapping me. I said, "What?" I was just asking for a drink. She said, "You passed out for like a full minute." I said, "A full minute?
Oh, no.
They're still on the same sentence that I heard last." So it freaked her out a little bit. But I'm going to attribute that to the whole emotional weirdness that I'm going through this week. It's either that or mental pause.
You're fainting and I don't want to get out of bed. Like there's something's happening where we just need extra rest or something. Maybe we just push ourselves too hard.
So we're functioning. How's that? We're doing okay.
Yeah. It'd be great if one of us passed out right now while we're doing the podcast so people can see it.
Yeah, that'd be really fun, wouldn't it? Why don't you go? Go ahead, Adam.
Only if I got out of the hot tub too fast.
See, and that's what it felt like. Like when I've been in the hot tub too much, I'm just there. I've slept in the hot tub sometimes. I've fallen asleep there, but sometimes
knocked out.
Feeling too much, your body temperature goes up, and then I get up to get the cover for the hot tub and get lightheaded and have to sit down. That's what it felt like. And you can't do
Somebody
that. Somebody
mentioned low blood sugar. I was like, Rex doesn't get low blood sugar. He eats way too many sweets.
Exactly. That's what my daughter said. We know it's not that because your blood's never not had sugar.
Right, exactly.
Okay, Judy Girl says, "Hey, Rex and Adam, wishing everyone peace with this latest verdict." That's all we need, Adam, is peace. One more to go. Maybe if they failed at unaliving Charles, would still have Tylee, JJ, Tammy, and Brandon. Would not have been. Yep. That's a good, sobering what if. And we all wish that were the case. Okay, here's
the whole
the
thing
name.
with the police department.
This is Fun McCool. Did I say it right? To start with Fun McCool. Remember, I had this problem, and finally Fun McCool reminded us that was it. But anyway, it says Lori was afraid to face you and Kay again, Adam, which is why she stipulated to aggravated factors. I think that's as valid a reason as any I've heard. Good insight on that one, Fun. I love that name though, still, even if I don't pronounce it right. And from Goga, you've had to be incredibly resilient, and I admire that strength so much. Now this chapter is behind you. How are you feeling? We won't tell you that again, but I wanted to get the comment up there to acknowledge Goga and to thank you for the comment. Let's see. Why? Someone asks. I don't know if we know the answer, Adam. Why was Summer texting Lori everything you were doing on the day before Charles died?
Apparently, Lori had told them that I guess maybe she got into Charles's phone. This is what I think. She got into Charles's phone, read his text, or somehow an email. She got his text, knew that I was coming to town, and then spun everything and told Lori and my mom and everybody that, we were coming to hurt her or take JJ or whatever story Lori told them, they all bought into it. So that's why Lori was texting or Summer was texting with Lori and about my whereabouts and what I was doing, because they thought that me and Charles had some plan to get Lori or something. So that's what I was told. That's what I know from what they've said. That's why she was texting her. Does it bother me? Yes, it bothers me.
That's just as honest as you get right there.
Yes.
Catherine Peza. Rex, have you and Adam always been closer? Did this bring you closer together? I think it's definitely brought us closer together, but I also think we've always been close. Adam and
we
I
started playing basketball when I was 13. We've been playing one-on-one basketball for basically since I can remember.
Yeah, maybe before that, maybe when you were 6, we were playing Nerf basketball, and finally moved it outside your hoop there on Olive Lane.
My earliest remember of me and Rex spending one-on-one time together, I was like 5. I was on a T-ball team, and Rex picked me up in his Volkswagen Bug, took me to 7-Eleven and sugared me up with a Slurpee. Maybe that's why I have diabetes now. But
I'm getting blamed for your diabetes now.
But yeah, Rex and I have always had, like, when our families got together, we always had sports that kept us together, bonded together.
The family basketball championship.
We both love to laugh. We both love to sports. Same kind of humor. So those things were Rex and I were closer than me with any of the other of my mom's siblings.
And even as adults, when we could, I'd visit Adam where he was and go sit and watch him in his radio show. I love doing that just to see his life, what was going on. So, so we've always been close, but this has brought us closer together, I think.
Yeah, I do too.
You said nice things about me on STS, so I appreciate that. So I couldn't say anything bad.
Yeah, now you have to. Now you can't lie.
Yeah. Lori Mall or Mole? I'd say Mall. There's a lady on the jury that was raised LDS, and she backed Adam's story about Nephi, which I've been screaming through my computer. Why have you been screaming through your computer? But
are people taking the Nephi story to another level? Like, I don't know what's being said about it. I don't go on social media or read any of this stuff. So is there somebody who was are people going off about Nephi?
Yeah, Lori, we need to know more about you screaming through your computer. Now you've put yourself in question and in the spotlight.
I mean, it doesn't put the Book of Mormon or Nephi in a good position where they're talking about Lori wants to be like Nephi by having justified killing. The people like there's justified killing in the Book of Mormon. People who aren't LDS don't understand it because it just sounds weird.
That is so out of context.
And when I was trying to explain it, when I was trying to explain that, I was like, okay, well, how do I make this so it doesn't sound so out there? But yeah, I don't know. Yeah. So yeah, let us know what you think about, or let us know what you mean by you were screaming at your computer and one of the jurors was LDS and she said she backed my story about Nephi. I'm not sure exactly what went down, but I would like to hear it.
But that was the connection to this case. So Adam, I thought you did real well with that. You could have gone all sorts of places. That's just a tough subject to take on right there.
Well, I could go on for hours with Nephi. I've taught a lot of Sunday school classes about Nephi.
Tia Quinn asked, do you think Lori and Alex would still have killed Charles if Lori had known the life insurance beneficiary changed?
Well, that's the part where the prosecution was saying that they really believed that Lori or that Charles was dead and Ned was inside of his body. They believed in that whole weird thing that they came up with or Chad came up with, and they bought into that there's zombies that can go inside people's bodies. It sounds odd and all that, but it sounds like that's why. But who knows? It's probably tied into both things. So yeah, that's a coin toss for me. I don't know if they would have killed him or not killed him.
Yeah, here's my opinion on it. First of all, when Lori went back to Charles in Houston, some family members shared that it wasn't really a reconciliation. Okay, like they weren't okay. We'll go back to our marriage and forget that. I forget who filed for divorce first. But Lori went back. They reconciled. I'm thinking, my suspicion is Lori went back to get the money all the way she wanted, change the life insurance beneficiary to her, make sure it was changed back to her, and get access, make sure she had access to all the funds. If she would have found out they changed it back, I think she would have done that again. Whatever she needed to do to get it changed back to her. So I think it would have delayed them killing Charles. I don't think their plan would have changed. Just my opinion. I don't know any different than anyone else. In Morgan, I live local. I bumped into family members. I'm a good Christian woman and worked with JJ School. Interesting. In Morgan is local. I think I saw, based on the thumbnail that's about 3/8 of an inch tall, I think in Morgan may even have been at the trial. And so that gives me a chance to say thank you so much to those of you who came up and talked to us at the trial, introduced yourselves. I love the optimist that came up and said, "Hi, Uncle Rex. I'm just treating you like you know me, but I know you don't know me, but we feel like, you're part of the family. We know you from all the podcasts." And I love that. I love that people feel comfortable doing that. And even if it's just looking at people and, sometimes you can tell they're optimists, even though they haven't come up and talked to you, just because you'll lock eyes and they'll like recognize you and smile. So thank you to any of you and all of you that did that. That makes that trial experience. I was not the trial for enjoyment or entertainment. I was there because my daughters were there, because Adam was there. Not a great experience. And I'll say this, I can't imagine doing what Adam did. That's rough. But for people that think that a family member needs to be at someone's trial to show support or show something, I wouldn't put that on any family member for any trial anywhere. So for people that comment, "Hey, are Janice and Barry at the trial? Do they support Lori, or shouldn't they go to show something?" No, don't go to the trial if you can avoid it. Now, if you are an incredibly strong super warrior like Kay and Larry are, what they have done in going to all the trials, as many sessions as they can, that's superhuman. That's the superpower. I don't know how they do it, but I wouldn't wish that on anyone. Sorry, I had to go off on that one, Adam.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, it's hard for people that aren't in this situation to understand. Everybody has a right, and everybody has their own mental health to think about. And going to court when your daughter or your sister is, that she's killed people or conspired to kill people. It's really surreal. Even me testifying there, I didn't want to go, but I know I had to. It's just not a place where you want to be. And for the rest of you guys are true crimers, and you're interested in all the whole thing, and want justice for Charles, which is great, and you can handle it. That's great. But yeah, don't judge other people for not going to the trial.
Definitely. But back to M. Morgan. Okay, M. Morgan, look, why don't you look Adam up for a pickleball lesson, and that way you can get to know more family members there. She mentioned that she's into family members. Mm-hmm. Lee T, is the rest of the family you're in touch with agree with the verdict for Lori? Anyone think she's innocent, Adam?
No, nobody thinks she's innocent. Nobody.
Yeah, no one was there saying free Lori. Was Adam at the verdict?
No, I was not. I was working.
You were on SDS with Joel.
Oh, right. Yes. And then I went to work.
Adam, what did you think when they showed the text messages where Summer was texting Lori everything you were doing the day before Charles died? Sorry, we kind of addressed it, but I'm not reading these for I'm putting them up. I'm going as fast as I can because we still have 26 of them. How are you on time today, Adam? By the way, I should have started.
I'm okay. Yeah, I'm okay. Yeah, I told everybody that, I was not happy with knowing that. And, Summer tried to explain to me why she was doing it. Her and my mom were in cahoots with Lori. And so I understand why. Still, I wouldn't have handled it that way, but that's what they decided to do. And now they regret it. So that's where we're at.
Yeah, we make decisions in life. And that's why, one of Adam's primary messages is don't take a family member's side over another one until you hear both sides, until you hear it all.
Yeah.
That act right there tore the family apart for years and still has repercussions. So don't do that. Listen, try to hear the other side, especially when you aren't involved. I mean,
Yes.
You aren't the main.
You're not the one that's doing it. Yeah.
Causing it. Yeah. Pearl asks, can she subpoena Chad in the next trial? I don't know, but I've heard that you cannot subpoena someone that's on death row. In other words, cause them to appear and give them a break from death row. So
yeah,
that's just what I've heard. Elroy, did she once say my other brother was trying to kill me? Was she talking about Adam?
Yes, I think Lori came up with the story that me and Charles were trying to kill her. And I think I've talked about this a bunch. Lori's lying and deceiving it was a lot of like things that she was doing. She would say other people were doing. Like she said that, Charles was having an affair where she was actually having an affair. She said that Charles and I were trying to kill her. She was actually going to try to kill Charles and me, apparently. So just it's reverse of everything that Lori said was actually things that she was either thinking or doing or have done.
Very common in evil doings, people that are doing evil things. Very common. Well, heck, most of us know that because we've done that before. not to the degree these criminals have done it, of course, but we like to project onto other people. That's human nature. When you're evil, you just do it with big things. Okay, I love this side. I love the fact that Warren Kroom donated $1.99. I want to talk about money in a little while because we appreciate the donations. But I want to get to the comment from Warren Kroom because I really like this thought. Do you really get justice or is it more of a win? I'm going on Warren. I'm Team Warren right now. I would call this a win. I don't believe justice is served in this life just because you can't bring someone back. And so I fortunate for me to myself, I believe in a life after this, and I think there's going to be a judge and ultimate justice will be served. And I don't care what that is because that's up to that judge, just like this penalty is up to the judge in this case. What's your thought, Adam?
Exactly my thought. Exactly the same thing. We've talked about this on several podcasts before. We both have the same opinion about that.
In fact, as we do on many things, not everything, but many things. Our friend Ana Franco, hi Adam, great Uncle Rex. Would you consider Lori a coward? You're trying to start a family fight here. You want us to start calling her names. What would you say, Adam?
Lori a coward?
Yeah.
I mean, there's parts of me that think that she's cowardly because she didn't fess up to what she did, and she's always blaming other people and lying about stuff. I guess the definition. That's a cowardly thing to do.
I'm with you on that. Okay, another super sticker. Here's what I'll talk about money. Thank you, Julia Miller, for the $5 super sticker. Adam and I mentioned in our podcast, not our last live, but we did a podcast in between, what our plan is going forward. And we haven't gotten there yet, so we don't have dates to announce here for our first podcast under our new approach to podcasting. It will cost a little bit of money. So the dollars you're donating won't always go to massages. Unfortunately, we would love that.
Come on, let this be the massage podcast.
That was a very, very timely massage for Adam. But there are a few expenses, not a lot of expenses. We get a little bit of money from YouTube, the ads you have to watch when it's not live. And so we've been using that. We're ahead a little bit right now, but there'll be expenses in this new approach we're doing. So that's what the dollars will go toward. They'll just go towards the expenses. And I don't know if you saw, I did make a snarky comment on Adam on one of the comments on our podcast when someone said, we've heard this before. Oh, they're just doing this to get rich.
Yeah.
And I said, rich. So one massage every 2 years is the definition of rich now.
Rich.
One massage for one of us every 2 years.
Yeah.
Okay, a little snarky. Sorry.
I know it just gets irritating sometimes when people judge you for whatever
Yeah.
whatever they feel like they want to say.
We're in the world for it, so we knew it was coming. Social media.
And there's people that don't like us that like other podcasts. There's like a division of that too. So there's all kinds of stuff.
Okay, since you brought that up, I have to tell another little story here. So we're in the second row. They let the family in. We got second row behind us, right behind Colby. Love that. I love seeing Colby. First time I've seen him in I don't know how many years. And Brandon, being able to give them a hug was worth being in court just to see them give him a hug. Meet Colby's wife for the first time. I hadn't met her, and we all know that you didn't go to the wedding, Adam. So
right.
that's public record now. But anyway, so I'm sitting there, and then the people get to come in and grab seats, and the seat next to me was Annie Cushing. She come in and sat with me. Now, if you remember in Lori's trial, Annie and I had some good interaction there. I know we've, on podcasts, our followers say things, and she said things that we don't agree with, and we've said things that she doesn't agree with. So there's a little bit of that beef going on, but she sat down. I said, oh, so fate brings us together once again. She says, yes, it does. I said, okay, well, don't tell your listeners this, please, but I kind of like you. Don't tell them that because it's going to take that away. She said, well, I'm the same way, and I won't tell people that either. So if you want to think there's this deep-seated beef there, you can, but it's just, I'm okay with disagreeing with people. And sometimes people, in our opinion, go too far, and we might say that about other people. I can live with that and still be personable with the people. So as just a little side trip there. Sorry, creative minds. Let's get back to your question. Did the prosecutor do trial prep with you? You and all the personal witnesses handled Lori fantastically. Talk to us about that, Adam.
Not a ton. I mean, I went down to the courthouse maybe a month ago, and he was asking me about the story, and then she asked me questions about things that she might ask me, and then she sent me some text of me and Charles, and said I'm going to present this, and so it wasn't anything rehearsed, but it was just more of a generic. This is the direction we're going to go, and this is the kind of questions I'm going to ask, and so that was it. So it wasn't anything. I don't know about the other witnesses. I have no idea, but that was with me.
And then the morning of?
Yeah. We went over a little bit about things that she was going to ask and those things, just reiterating some of the things that I would be asked to answer. They never tell you how to answer it or what to say or anything like that. But, yes or no is always good if there's a yes or no question.
Yeah, so I noticed she emphasized that, but she didn't lay out strategy for Adam and say, if you say this goes along with the strategy. Just, here's what I'll be asking, and here's what you can expect, and here's what I recommend for you.
Yeah.
Not really a strategy session though. And she did handle Lori very well. The way she handled Lori, let me give you one example of this. Sorry, Kathy, I'll come back. One thing I thought in her closing arguments, this is Trina's, the prosecutor's, her closing argument, she just presented the case as she had all along, just straightforward. These are the facts. These are the facts. And I would have liked a little more, the emotion in there. But she was so good with her strategy and the fact. And I was talking to her, in fact, just before, outside the courtroom, just before the closing arguments, and she pointed out to me how they are letting Lori, I can't remember how it came up, but they let Lori present herself to the jury, and then, a lot of times they choose just to present something differently. And then when I saw her do that, I thought, yeah, that's what she's doing. That's her strategy. She's just being factual and presenting facts. Then Lori gave her kind of emotionally charged closing statement. And then you notice when Trina got back up, boom, she was into the emotion. I mean, she started off with, she didn't say the words, but the attitude of, are you freaking kidding me? And, put emotion in what she said in the redirect. I thought, oh, that's what she was talking about. She lets, and then she responds, my word, very appropriately to the way Lori presents something. So I appreciate so much the work that she and her team did with that. Kathy White, boy, do we wish, asked, do you think Lori will plead no contest for the Brandon trial or plead guilty? Either one. What do you think?
Who knows? Like her pattern has been going to court and representing herself. Maybe it gets her out of jail. Maybe she can, but I mean, again, there's no defense.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't
we love it if she just pled guilty?
Well, this one's different because this one has to deal with, unless there's a bunch of text messages that they have between Alex and Lori or Melanie, if they have a bunch of text messages like they did in this case that I had no idea about, then there's probably a big case for it. So who knows what, I have no idea what the case is going to be, who Lori would even, defend herself or what she would even say. So who knows? It could be exactly like this one, or maybe she's just like, okay, I'm guilty. I don't think she's ever going to claim to be guilty at anything. It doesn't seem like it.
Yeah, it doesn't. And I'm going to say the same thing, just say it a little differently. I am hoping, like I have every trial, there are so many unanswered questions. I'm hoping for facts to come out, truth to come out, to answer some of those questions. I would love that, but I would give all of that hope up if Lori would just say I'm guilty and not put Colby, Kay, Larry, Adam, Janice, Barry, Summer, and all of us through another trial. That's my fondest wish, Kathy White, that we just don't have to go through that again, even if it means not getting some of the answers. So CC Denver wants to know, Adam, are you close to Brandon? Will you follow his trial?
Yeah, I love Brandon. Close. I don't know if we're close. We both live in the same city. We go to lunch maybe once a month for a business thing, and we can text back and forth. He's invited me for some things, but yeah, I support Brandon 100% and wish him nothing but the best. And so, yeah.
Same. And Adam and Brandon are closer, but Brandon and I are close enough that when we saw each other for the first time in how many years, when we walked in the courtroom, we hugged. He introduced me to his wife, very loving, just a great, great person. little bit extreme as a sports fanatic, kind of like Charles was, and he and Charles got along so well. That's probably for one of many reasons. But
yeah, we all have the sports in us to want to talk sports. So I love that.
We do. $2 from Goga. I don't know what CHF is, but the F is probably fund. So this might be the. I'm not sure, but thank you, whatever it is, and feel free to tell us what the CHF year is. Let me skip Adam since we're on an hour now, but you're okay time-wise to try to get the 27 starred questions left. Let me go to Hawkeye with a $9.99 donation. Hawkeyes, plural. Take care of you and your family first. You are an awesome person to Charles. Thank you, and Grunko Rex, may your hearts heal now.
Thank you so much. So sweet.
Yes. Yes, I am all for healing hearts. That's a tough one. Elena Bonilla Abad. Elena Bonilla Abad. Greetings from Spain. Oh, so it is Bonilla. Elena Bonilla Abad. Abad doesn't look Spanish, but anyway, great name. A $2 probably euro sign donation from Spain. Thank you, Elena.
Thank you.
That's cool, isn't it?
I like that the people all over the world are part of this podcast family.
Yeah, everywhere from Spain to Springville, Utah. It's and all the places in between. Again, from Shale Ministries, $10. Didn't they give us a super sticker to start with? Good grief, you guys are you don't want to spoil us. We appreciate the donations, but don't spoil us. Lori asked about the places you've lived at, and then she seemed to razz you about all the places you've lived. For a moment, your eyes looked painfully warm towards her. What were you experiencing? Great question.
Yeah, the whole thing was kind of odd. I didn't know where she was going with all that. Maybe she's trying to say that I'd never lived close to them, so I didn't have a close relationship with her ever. Maybe that was her strategy. But obviously she forgets certain things. She forgot certain places where I lived or didn't mention them, just like the enchiladas. Things that, or being at Colby's wedding. I think things that she may thought that, she just, things in her brain, I guess, didn't register. But I didn't think anything, I guess I didn't think anything odd or off. I just thought that she just didn't know.
Okay. And Bobby Cat with a $4.99 donation. What are your thoughts on Melanie P's involvement? I think we covered this, but I'll reiterate and give you a chance, Adam. We want to get the same questions answered you have. We have the same questions. And so we would love to see that answered. Adam, anything else on that from you?
Obviously I think there's some involvement, for Melanie to Lori to, here's my take on it. Lori ended up telling Melanie that she prayed about it and that Brandon was gay. And then Melanie started saying that Brandon was gay. There was a whole thing about this out of the blue. This is the most ridiculous thing ever. And I don't know if that's what caused the divorce, but that was definitely part of it. And so Melanie jumping on Lori's bandwagon at that point, I feel like Lori had Melanie in her pocket, so to speak, that Melanie was listening to what Lori was saying, going to these ridiculous 3-hour, what were the things that they went to, Rex?
Those like prepare the people meetings and stuff. They had their own group inside of that. It was kind of a subgroup.
And here's my thought on that. I think that, Lori was having Melanie go, and I think Melanie may had asked Brandon. Maybe Brandon shut her down and said, I'm not doing that. Just like I would say, I'm not doing that. And so maybe Lori knew that, well, Brandon's not going to be part of this. So we got to get rid of him. Melanie's got to divorce him. So at some point, I think Melanie's involvement with Lori and Chad, knowing that, her calling Chad dad on that text, and there's definitely involvement. What do I know what the involvement is? No. Do any of us? No. But hopefully we'll find out. if there's text messages, then we'll find out if there was and how deep that goes.
Yeah, we know there are text messages that implicate her, which is kind of like the word imply. We don't know if there are any text messages that say, hey, she gave Alex Brandon's new address. Questions like that.
Yeah.
We aren't aware of any. Celeste with a $9.99 super sticker. Thank you very much, Celeste. Love that name.
Yeah, I saw somebody mention it's a fireside. I couldn't think of the word fireside. Probably because I don't go to firesides. Probably because I don't go to the when I was a youth, I went to a lot of firesides. As an adult, I don't go very many firesides.
Not so many. I think they got a bad name for adults for reasons like these people calling it a fireside.
For this, yeah.
No one wants to touch that now. Cotton Wanderer, $9.99 super sticker. Thank you, Cotton. And you'll have to tell us. I don't remember your name up here. Tell us where you're from, too. It'll be good to see that. Pat Brooks, Adam with a $49.99 super sticker saying, you guys are awesome. And this sentiment, Adam, all of us echo this. So Pat Brooks is speaking for all of us. Adam, we're so glad they didn't try and succeed getting rid of you. Justice finally for Charles. Because Adam was on the list and was scared about being on the list. Can you imagine living?
Well, at that point, I didn't know there was a list. I had no idea there was a list. Well, I just knew that
you were still just facing the reality of what was going on. You and Zach were scared for your lives, were you not?
Well, yeah, but when Alex and Lori killed Charles, at that point, and nobody in my family was like questioning it, I was like, oh my gosh, is everybody involved in that? Like, I didn't know what was going on. So yeah, I didn't know there was a dark list. I didn't know any about that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's now that I look back at it. I saw somebody else ask a question. It's like, weren't you supposed to be with Charles the morning he picked up JJ? It's like, no, there was no plan of me going with Charles. That's why he texted me and said he was going to pick up JJ and Alex's truck was out there. There was really no big plan. It was just like, if we can figure out how to get her in front of the state president, get her paperwork been taken away. There was no exact plan of how that was going down. But I didn't realize that, Alex and Lori were going to be killing people either. I had no clue that was part of their plan.
Yeah, I don't think we can emphasize that enough, because people question, well, with all these letters going on and all the accusations, why didn't people do this or that? It just turned into a different world as soon as Charles was shot. For example, my own reaction to that, this was in the matter of seconds. It's going through my mind saying, Charles, he's not dead. My brother called me and said, what do you know about the death of Charles Vallow? And right away, I think, well, he's not dead. All this is going through my mind. And in a short amount of time, I saw it was Alex that did it. Like you, Adam, I said, they did this. And my next thought was, they may have killed Joseph Ryan. And so really my first activity was to go back and start reading up on what happened to Joseph Ryan and reading those court reports and the ad items and all that, and to tie it all together. So it just changes your perspective all of a sudden. I mean, it gets so real when someone's killed.
Yeah.
Just changed it all. But Adam, even when you went back to Little Rock, no, you weren't in Little Rock, you were in
Wichita.
Wichita, thank you. You were still scared, were you not?
Yes.
Because you didn't know Alex could show up anytime. You just didn't know. What was life like before Alex died?
Yeah, it was unsure, scary, not knowing what was going to happen. Yeah, it was pretty crazy.
I can't imagine living with that. Good heavens, that's horrible. But thanks for asking, Pat. And we go to Chilling with a $20 super sticker. So generous, Chilling.
Thank you.
Great, peaceful name. Brenda B. Look at this, Adam. An AZ girl living in Guam.
What? Maybe why did you move to Guam?
Could be militarily related. I don't know why else someone would go to Guam if it wasn't military. I have a lot of friends that have been there in the military. But
No
with a
diss on
20
Guam. I've never
1991
been to Guam. It's probably beautiful, but come on now.
strange situation probably. Mimi's Love, $4.99 donation. Thank you. It is possible, although reprehensible, that they decide on killing to keep their temple recommend. Religion can cause one to think that way. Isn't that ironic? I think this is a definition of irony. They're trying to get my temple recommend taken away. I will kill them.
Yeah, think about that.
Yeah, Mimi's Love. That's quite a thought. I'm wondering now about you, Mimi. Just having those thoughts. How can you think that way? Not
Right.
really. I appreciate the perspective. That just throws me into the strange way of thinking that these people were thinking.
Yeah.
Sarah, the domestic goddess, a $10 donation. So part of the beginning, I have to say, I can't be the only happily married woman who would love to go on a date with Adam. Just for good conversation, laughs, and see that handsome smile. No cheating.
Oh, sweet.
That is sweet.
Well, we could bring your husband. I can bring a friend. We can sit and chat and have dinner. No big deal.
It's not that hard.
It's not a date. And
it's okay. Teresa Nault, $5 Canadian. Do you hope Lori comes to her senses and repents? Boy, that I haven't even hoped that far. I would just love for her to come to her senses and plead guilty for the next trial. I haven't gone as far. So here's a case. Teresa's a lot more forward thinking than I am. If she would come to her senses and repent. If all of us who profess to be Christians offer a prayer for her conversion, she might. Adam and I both believe in the power of prayer. So, yes. And there is precedence even for killers to come to. That doesn't change that they don't get out of jail for doing that. They don't get, from a legal standpoint in the country, they don't get, they're still accountable for what they did, but for their soul, that's got to be healthy. That would be wonderful.
That would be great.
Deborah B, Canadian, $10. I think that's what that means. Love you guys. Thank you. Adam, we all have baggage, some more than others, some not of our choosing, some we haven't unloaded yet.
Yes.
Praying by the end of June this year, we unload it all at the cross. Beautiful thought. Well said, Deborah. So see, Adam, there's hope for you.
Thank you. My baggage is already lighter. It already feels lighter.
People realize that we all have baggage, but Adam's still holding to. I can tell you he's going to hold to this. No one wants this baggage thing. He has a complex about it.
Only because I've experienced it already, trying to go on a date and somebody saying it's just way too much for her. And I was like, okay, no problem.
That was one person.
But that's still an experience. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay. It's a thing, but it's not everything.
Right. I get it, but there's baggage. There's baggage there.
Okay. And to be X. No, that's not it. So TOTBX. You'll have to tell us more about that one. A $10 donation. Hi, guys, and good vibes and prayers for healing from Pentagon City in Virginia. Originally from Utah, so have followed all.
See, here's another Mormon that's moving. Here we go again. All these Mormons, all you Mormons, you just all want to just constantly move. You can't just stay in the same house for 50 years.
Boy, you're presumptuous. Just because TOTBX is from Utah, you think they're Mormon, huh?
Well, I guess not. I don't know. I used to think Salt Lake was like almost 100% Mormon. Now I heard it's like 50% or less than 50% Mormon.
Or less. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Okay. Those are the people that donated. I especially wanted to get to them, thank them, because that's some people are sharing their money and trusting us to use it wisely or get a massage. We appreciate that.
I got to tell you, the massage was amazing. Thank you. Rex is the one that somebody mentioned it to Rex, and then Rex was like, "Oh yeah, let's do that." I'm like, "Oh,
Someone here in the group is an optimist that came up with it. I just ran with the idea. The Journey to Justice questions. Do you know how Charles' boys are doing?
I don't. I haven't talked to Zach or Cole in years, even before this all happened with Charles and them. I don't know the last time I saw them.
Yep. And I haven't seen him in probably the same time you saw him at a family gathering.
Yeah.
Mom says, I am new. I think you're wonderful, Rex, for supporting your nephew, Adam. Adam, you're courageous, and I have a certain kinship to you. I've had a cousin do to a family member what your Lori did. That is awful.
Yeah.
I am so sorry
about that.
Yeah, wish that on anybody, anywhere, anytime. Does Melanie speak to Lori? It will be interesting to see what happens in Brandon's trial and how Lori will be towards her. Yes, it will. Do you know, Adam? I don't know that.
No idea. No idea. I would assume that Melanie has distanced herself from Lori, but I don't know for sure.
Okay. Miss Sassy, do you believe that because Al believed her story is why she didn't blame him? I don't think Lori had any loyalty to Alex. I think she didn't blame him because she was going with this was self-defense. That was her defense.
Mm-hmm.
Lori, before Al converted, I don't know if Lori had any loyalty to him. They weren't particularly close. And so I don't know if she has loyalty to anyone except Chad, and I'm not even completely sure about that, but publicly she does. Dot tie. How do you move on from all this? There is the question of the day. I don't know. Adam, do you have an answer for dot tie?
Yeah. I mean, every day you just get up and you keep going forward, and how I approach it is, I have a message of, helping families communicate to each other. Rex has a message about, listening to your internal guidance system. Those are two big things going forward for us that we would like to, keep talking to people about in family situations. Obviously, after doing this podcast, we hear so many people have family issues that one of the things is talking to yourself. The other one is making your decisions and following your internal guidance system. So that's how we're going to go forward with our podcast and in life, I feel.
Good advice. I haven't wrapped my arm around going forward. I don't want to, I want to go forward, and I think I do. I don't think the reason I think I'm healed, not what caused the healing, but my definition of healing is this tragedy doesn't hold me back. There's nothing I don't do because of it. But I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to move on from it, to move on. Some of it I don't want to move on from. I don't want to move on from, the loss or the love of the people involved, or even getting emotional about it. I don't mind that. And I don't want to move on from that. I do want to move on from, the anger and etc. But I don't know. I don't think I'll get over it, I guess is the way to say that.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, Adam, about the Daybell Children's support for Chad? Have they ever reached out to Lori's family?
I don't know any of the Daybell children. I just know the one brother that Rex and I talked to at the Tylee and JJ's funeral.
Let's talk to him and see if he'll talk with us now under our new podcast format.
Yeah. Yep. But as far as their kids, I have nobody talks to any of the Daybells in our family that I know of.
Yeah, I'm not aware of it either. Let's see. I'm gonna try to jump a little bit into questions we haven't touched on. just because we're beyond our normal time. So, oh, Adam, will you? Classy and Sassy says, "Will you DJ again?"
DJ again. I don't think I got a chance to go back to Wichita to be a morning show on the country station not too long ago, and I turned it down. So I don't know if radio. I mean, I had the greatest career in radio. I loved every minute of it. But now nobody really listens to radio anymore. DJ wise, I mean, I could DJ weddings or parties. I did do that on the side when I was in St. George, and I really loved it. It was great. So I could do that, but probably not on the radio anymore.
Okay. Good to know. Here, this must be some inside information from Kansas Waterhole. Adam, did you take Rex to any Wichita State basketball games? Great team, right? The Shockers.
Oh, when I was there in 2012 to 2018, those 6 years. When I got there, Wichita State went to the Final Four, and I got season tickets for every season. So I went a lot. I took my son or my wife at the time or a friend. I had 2 season tickets. So I don't think Rex was. Did you? I don't think you came to Wichita to go to a Wichita State game with me.
No, but if you would have invited me to a game, I knew you had season tickets, I would have come.
He would have come.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Shockers were good back in the day.
No kidding. Our good friend Lindsay says, Adam, when are you getting a dog or a cow? I'll add that.
I do need to get a dog. I don't know. I got to find the right dog, and I have to be able to. I think I have to have a house so I can have a dog door and a backyard for the dog to go in and out of. Because if I'm gone for 5 or 6 hours or 7 hours, I don't want to have to deal with not letting him out.
Okay, I want to make sure we get these next two. Just because, look at this name here, Adam. Michelle's Mixed Media Madness.
Yes.
But she's asking you, are you going to see a real therapist now that you're done testifying? Professional counselor is the way to go.
Yeah, a lot of people swear by that. And I'm definitely open to it. I haven't gone down that route yet, but I may at some point soon try that.
Oh, you heard it here. That's breaking news. Winnie20 says, Rex and Adam, if you need a little giggle, head over to Hidden True Crime Latest with Dr. John and Lauren and listen to the song someone wrote. Love from Minnesota. One more to go.
Nice. I do like to laugh.
We will do that. Adam, from Jermaine, will you write a victim impact statement? Could be healing even if no one else ever reads it.
I don't know. I didn't write one. I didn't write one. Lori's trial in Idaho. I don't feel like for me that's going to help me. So I'm probably not going to do that. But I understand why people do it. So yeah, that's probably my answer for that. Okay. And I'm going to look up now because Kelly Shields asked us to read her previous question. And Kelly, maybe our good moderator, Cami, who's helping us, will help me find Kelly's previous message. And Kelly, good strategy. She made a $2.79 donation. And so she knew we would see that. And we didn't. Thank you, Kelly.
Pass up your previous donation because you didn't make, or your previous comment because you didn't make one, but we'll definitely look for that. Or I'll ask Cami too. Kelly Shields with a Canadian $13.99. We all have baggage. Adam, yours is just heavier.
No doubt.
On Earth, you're working out so you can carry it to your ultimate success now and into the afterlife. That lady is missing out. All right. Here's another from Stephanie DK, a $5 donation. Dear Adam, most of us old folk have baggage. Ask good-looking Uncle Rex. Amen to that. Thank you for the good-looking part. But yeah.
Not the old part.
Yeah, we all have baggage. Well, the old's just, if you faint in court, you're old, okay? I don't care what age you are. That's just a sign of old age. Ask my
I wish I would
daughter.
have been there.
First thing
Oh
they
my
said.
gosh. Dang it.
I-
I want to catch you when you're fainting and hold you up so I can have that
Well,
on
she
you the
was-
rest of your life.
Christy was the only one because Kimmy is sitting next to her, and she didn't know until Christy told her. So, yeah. So I think we can close on those unless we can find Kelly Shield. Oh, Kelly Shields. I'm sorry. Kelly's is the one that said this. So we did see it. We all have baggage. Yours is just heavier. Unearth your work. Okay. So we got it, Kelly. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Kelly.
Thank all of you for being here, for being optimists, for listening to us. We don't like to take a lot of time, but we do like to interact with you. And sometimes we run like we have here. So we will close here. And I'm sorry we don't have a time for our next podcast, but we'll start our podcast schedule soon when Adam and I get a chance to talk to each other sometime that's not on here. So Adam, let's talk soon. We'll get a schedule going and be back with y'all because we love being with you, love the support. Thank you for it. Adam, closing words.
Thank you for all the support, the prayers, the thoughts, the comments. It all means a lot to me, helps me deal with all the things that I deal with on a daily basis. So yeah, doing the podcast is therapy for me, which is great. And I know a lot of you have a lot of struggles that you have in your life, and just know that my thoughts and prayers will be with you if I know about them. I know there's a lot of people who have mentioned things about, they have similar situations or things that happen in their lives. Just keep your head up, keep going forward. And do the things that to like follow your internal guidance, like your gut. Just always go with your gut. I think that's all I got for now, Rex.
Love it. Thank you.